So many guys out there. We don't understand the drama continues. That's all. We just had a president. But you want it to be true, you make it true. But you get clicks. But when you go personal, what's really going on? Like, what's going on, y'all? This Greg. Greg said it. Back with another one. All right, y'all. What's going on? This thing here. It is game 2 already. We back at this thing here. Second game of the year. They say this season always go by fast in off season. I guess it's a little shorter, but I don't know. But here we are. Game 2. Delaware. And I don't know why I thought the third game was Wyoming and then Houston. Can somebody explain to me why we have a conference game, then back to a non-conference game? I know scheduling is weird, but I just wonder how that happened. Somebody explain to me that. You just couldn't get all that stuff out of the way. They ain't going to a conference game. That's weird, But Houston is coming up, then the Wyoming game. Wow. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. I don't quite know how I'm going to get into this. I'm going to do my best. Y'all come on in the room. Look, Colorado beat Delaware. And then people aside, they say they did it within the spread and all that good stuff, all that, I guess. And I was wondering why the score was kind of close. I think some people were saying 31 to 17 and all that type of stuff. So, let's just get it all the way clear. I mean, you look at this team, Delaware. Delaware has never been a SAR program. They've been a good program as far as at their level. I've heard of them for years. They do recruit a little bit down the southeast. So, let me see. So at the end of the day, I think that they're gonna do. I think they're gonna do decent. I don't think that was a sorry team in their conference USA. I think it's gonna be somehow North Dakota State. I mean, I don't know how well they're gonna do in the FBS as far as dominating, but I think they're gonna do decent in their conference. Now that was their backup quarterback, and that's a whole nother conversation that really kind of like, I guess you can see that as concerning because Delaware didn't have their best quarterback out there. This quarterback played for them before, but Delaware wasn't operating on all 8 cylinders, right? So I'm trying to. I don't want to get heavy into the stats, but I gotta look at it, like what I do on this good, bad, and ugly, and then we're gonna kind of get a little deeper. So y'all work with me here. Because I'm digesting this thing, even as we go, what's going on? What's going on, Elijah? Look, Colorado beat Delaware 31-7. And that sounds good. Not really. Because when you think about the average team when they play, not even FCS, but even a lower FBS school, they usually beat the mess out of them. Whether it's playing a San Jose or New Mexico State, usually those top tier programs beat them like they some, FCS, what they call FCS now, all right? These are all Division One programs. Then you got Division One, playoff, and then we're now both in the playoff. So they just got FCS and FBS because they don't have no bowl games, right? So what's going on? What's going on? Our jizzle. So everybody else, when you play these type of teams, sometimes FCS, sometimes lower FBS, you typically see scores like you're gonna score at least 40. Typically they score 50, 60, sometimes 70 points on these teams. They're very dominant and they make it very clear you're not on our level. And typically what that look like is not only the points, but how they do it, how they beat the team. They running game is unstoppable, they passing game is unstoppable, and they're just dominant on defense. Now, when you look at the score of this game, it looks somewhat dominant from a defense perspective. It was everything but. Because they only scored 7 points. So Colorado, if you look at this score, Colorado only scored 7 points in the first quarter. And then that was weird to me because I'm like, what's going on? Like, why is Colorado like? Well, I remember when the clock went down in the first quarter. Like, did they just run the ball a lot? Did they run the clock out? I was like, why is the time moving so fast? I was like, he's supposed to have at least 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Like, cause see, it appeared they was moving the ball, which they was. Salter was moving the ball. They did score early, but somewhere after that first score, it just kind of I don't know what happened. Maybe the defense, they was getting yards on it, but they wasn't scoring on Delaware side. Somehow that whole quarter went by with just 7 points. So that's the first problem. For you to be able to score 40, 50, 60, even 70 points in a game, you'll have to score more than 7 points in the first quarter. It's a slow start, but not that kind of slow start. I mean, really, you should have at least 2 touchdowns. Even if you just did, 14 apiece, and then you scored 56 points. You even that thing out. But I say 7. So you got to catch up. What's going on? So I'm looking at, okay, second quarter came. Second quarter, it ended up being 7-10 because Colorado, all they got was a field goal. So then he turn around, go down the field, only get a field goal. So you got 10. So it's 7-10 in the second quarter. So now Colorado looking like, oh shucks. It's looking like they got 7-10, 10-7, and then right before the halftime, stop through a touchdown. So like last minute of the game of the quarter. So you looking at the fact, okay. You see, you can't hear me. Can't hear. Is that can't? Oh, can't wait to hear. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to digest this thing because I'm looking at the stats because I look at the stats differently. Like a lot of people look at the stats and then I'm kind of look at it, but I'm looking at it from an analytical standpoint, like I did last year. Like, okay, everybody want that like Staub didn't call his own plays. Yeah, but they say Shador couldn't supposed to do that, right? Yeah, Staub said it. Yeah, they treated personnel like they do in practice. Well, everyone got reps. Some people say like a preseason game. And technically, it is a preseason game when you go play these lower level teams where you can figure stuff out and everybody get reps. Technically, that's what it is when you play these lower level teams. But usually, you don't pull them out in the first quarter, or the first half. You usually don't do that. You usually do that like second half, third, and fourth quarter when you up by 30, 40 points. And then everybody's supposed to play. But what was weird about this situation was he put everybody in like the first half, pretty much first, second quarter. And it's like, oh man, what? I get you gonna play, but y'all should be beating them enough where everybody play anyway. Right? So true, the stats don't tell the whole story, but not even just the stats. The stats tell the story more than the score. So, okay, Colorado went in 17-7 at halftime. It was 10-7. And Staub came in the last minute and took it to 17. And you're like, okay, so you only scored 17 points against a lower level program. And they scored and they was moving the ball. Then they came back, Colorado, shut Delaware down. 0. They didn't score no more the rest of the game. Which is weird because they got in the red zone multiple times, including the time when they about to get in the red zone and got the Ben script the ball. And it's like they was moving the ball in the red zone. They just the quarterback was throwing bad throws and stuff like that, you know. But Colorado really only scored 7 points, not 14 points per quarter, but they only scored 7 points in the third and 7 in the fourth. They only scored 7. So the most they scored was in that second quarter when they kicked the field goal and scored a touchdown. Outside of that, Colorado would only had 28 points. So what's that say about Colorado? Let's get into this thing. Staub is a pro. Start. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to think about this. Let's get into the good, bad, and ugly before we go left and right. Good. Colorado won, I guess. Right. 2, Colorado, for the most part, maybe they discovered something they need to discover in the quarterback room. I consider that a good. You got to think about the fact. Yeah. Staub did. He did say he found out like the day before the game because originally we knew Juju was gonna play. We didn't know Staub was gonna play. We really been counting Staub out because I ain't been hearing much about Staub. And I felt weird. I'm like, Staub is still in that room. He this is third year. Staub has been playing behind. You know, he's been playing behind Shador for a minute. So I mean, he knows the plays. He knows what to do. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting that you bring the freshman in automatic and put him over Staub. Even before Salter came. I feel like Staub should have been gone, honestly. Staub and Ponder. Maybe it's pride, maybe it's hope, but I feel like Staub should have left after that Utah game. Kind of like how Cash Cleveland left. Cash Cleveland said, "Gone. He couldn't even wait to get a scholarship." He rode his high horse. I feel like Staub could have went to a group of 5 or somewhere, um, and got some playing time. But he didn't hit the portal. And then he came when Juju and Salter came, he still stayed. So for that, you can't do nothing but respect the fact that he stayed and he took advantage of his opportunity because he didn't have to. He could have got down messed up. So yeah, y'all say he threw 2 pits. He could have threw, should have, would have. He didn't. He did. But I mean, he's capable of throwing them pits. We've seen him throw them at practice. That's one thing about Staub. Houston is definitely tougher than Delaware. I mean, let's just get the monkey out the bag. Should have known how to play calls to his player strength. Clearly, I mean, I talked about this last week about not playing to Colorado's strengths. His play callers is not to the strengths, so he would have been calling what Staub called, which is take advantage of the size and the speed versus always throwing bubble screens. He throwing the ball sideways. He did it with Staub, got in. It's my interceptions and all that. I mean, that's all. These people sitting on the ball. You don't watch them do it for 2 weeks in a row. You think they're not gonna be ready for this week to week? They figured this out last year. That's what BYU and everybody figured out last year. You throwing the ball sideways, all the DB doing is sitting on the ball and attacking your guy before you gonna get somebody hurt like that. You're gonna get pits, fumbles, and all that because you throwing it right there where they waiting at. They ain't bailing. They definitely ain't worried about you throwing it deep. So everybody don't figure that out. So why are you still calling that play? Why are you still calling these little screens? I mean, however you want to do it, it's not effective. But it's hot garbage. He would have still lost based on the play call. Well, yeah, because I mean, look at the points they was able to score or not score. We got to look at the fact that the points Staub came in, wasn't expected to play. It was going to be a low scoring game, and it shouldn't have with all the weapons you got. It just shouldn't be. It should never be that when you're playing a lower level team. Because, like I was saying, the Big 12 is a lot better this year. The Big 12 is better better this year than it was last year. Last year, the Big 12 supposed to have been good, but the teams who were supposed to have been good fell off, and the teams who were bad snuck up. So that was the story last year. But this year, they just got more depth. TCU wasn't that great last year, but they came on towards the end. But TCU typically is a decent team in the conference. TCU playing good this year. Iowa State playing good this year. You looking at BYU should be. They look like they ain't playing around with their food with the cupcake games. They blowing out even without the quarterback. This is a well-rounded team. You got that. You also got Kansas State. They're gonna be all right. You got who else we have? Utah looking like I'm not a respecter of Utah, but Utah always pretty decent as far as defense, and their offense just was horrible last year. And they had this quarterback thing. They didn't keep their quarterbacks from getting injured. Maybe they'd be all right. People ready to give them respect. Utah ain't do crap last year, but they always rank Utah. That's weird to me. They rank Utah from the jump. They love to rank Utah. I don't know why they want a Utah. All of a sudden, like this big program, you got to automatically respect like that. Utah had a garbage season last year, but they ranked right out the gate. Iowa State ranked. Utah ranked. A lot of these teams are ranked. I want them to stay ranked for the sake that it has more value and weight when you beat them. You ain't never beat a ranked team. Well, if you lose to them, they expect you lose anyway. But if you beat them, you got something that's of value. So I want all these teams, Iowa State, Utah, you name it, to keep their rankings. The mini rankings is better because people don't respect the conference as is. They say ain't nobody in your conference. So hopefully they be ranked when you play them and keep their rank. He said you got a ways to go. Yeah, clearly. Staub is the sitting caller on inside the past 2 years. He knows the plays. Yep, he knows the play. That's for sure. He waited his time and on iPad to get into side. Yeah, he Arizona State lost to Mississippi State. Okay. Okay, that's down there with your boys. Yeah, I don't know what they man because I don't know how good Mississippi State is, but they SEC they played them close. That's good. I just find it strange that technically Colorado played Delaware close, and they're not Georgia Tech. So it's like you kind of play it down. Um, it has to do. I don't know, man. You can't put your finger on offense or defense because they both played bad. Like the defense did get exposed points wise, but if we look at the yards, that so let me finish my good before I get into the bad. What else was good? Can y'all say? Special teams continue to be good. I think that I was watching is catching up. I mean, yeah, that's the portal and all that. But yeah, the special teams did well. Punt, and I think he punting better than Mate from last year. Mate did good the first year. He kind of fell off last year. This guy here, man, I feel like he punting better than Mate. So you got a good punter. You wanted the guy to kick the ball in the end zone. He kicking the ball in the end zone. The punt team's doing well. Special teams looking good. That's what you wanted, right? You wanted some consistency in that area. You got that. So I give you that. Am I missing anything else good? Because some of the things that were good last week wasn't this week. So let's go ahead to bad. Bad. Everybody say Colorado needs to run the ball. You need to run the ball. You need to run the ball. Okay. Well, they look like last year and the year before. The line wasn't getting any push on the ball, man. And I found a lot of time them standing around, standing chop. They had a good 20, 30 pound weight advantage. All that stuff that everybody whined about the first year with Colorado, why they were getting blown off the ball because they didn't have no weight. Now you got the weight advantage on Delaware. Yet they weren't getting no push on them. They wasn't moving them boys off the ball. The running game, they get 1 yard a carry, 2 yards. They hit right behind the man. They run right behind instead of being a hole. If they run off tackle or anything up the gut, they doggone was getting 1 or 2 yards, man. They were tackling them at the line of scrimmage. I don't know if I can blame them on not running the ball more because it was looking like the first year when they couldn't run the ball. Is it scheme? Maybe. It got to be some because you don't have how many coordinators at this point? How you blame on the weight, the strength, conditioning. Swayze, body by Swayze. You need more aggressive. You not that ain't do it. Then you looking at the fact that okay, you got a whole different line, different group of running backs, and you getting the same result. Is it the air? Because they're not really able to get that push up front on that line. They block on the run like they pass blocking. They don't really have that. They're not moving it. And they should have, out of all teams, you should have moved Delaware because you had the size advantage on them. And it's his leverage. Well, you can say that. You don't say that when CU was small. Leverage. They getting blown out the ball. So at some point, especially as you're doing it out the game, it should be some form of domination. It never really got the running game going where you could just run it down their throat. But on the other end, the other bad, the defense wasn't really stopping the run. They stopped it sometimes, but they was getting too big of runs, man. They was getting runs like Georgia Tech. They were hitting the hole, getting 9, 10 yards a pop, man. I mean, that just can't. You go up against a real team with a real running back and a real line, this gonna be a hard thing to watch, man. It's gonna be a hard thing to watch. We talking about the bad here, where if you see that the linebackers, I'm gonna say linebackers, or maybe your scheme, I don't know what it is that allows a team to just get so much yardage yet. You're never able to do that. But they getting 5, 10, 15, 20, boom, boom, boom. And they did it consistently enough. Let me see. Let me see these stats. They did it consistently enough where, okay, Delaware. Let me see Delaware. Rushing yards. They had a running back with 47. I had a running back with 17, a running back with 10. It seemed like more than that. Maybe because the running back who got 47, he was getting 4.3 yards an average. One of them came in, number 28, and got one run that was 10 yards. That's one of them 9, 10 yards, like boop, you know. And Delaware, they had another for 6, 17. But the quarterback, let me see, he only had 5. So he wasn't an issue like last week. It's just those ones they had that was just popping. Maybe it was at the right time where, let me see, what is the total rushing yards they had? Because they had the total yards of offense was 312 yards passing. So you talking about he was 18 for 36, and that's a lot because they had 2 receivers with 80 yards. 15 who was getting all the quick slants. Number 9 got 83. 2 receptions. There were 2 big receptions because he only had 2 receptions for 83 yards. His average was 41 yards. So those big plays that we saw. Then you had a guy with 47, 28, 26, 16. They spread that ball out over so many guys, which is good for them. You know, so you looking at 64, 7. They didn't have 100 yards rushing, but it was effective. But man, that's scary because they threw all over Colorado. This is the bad. Quick slant. It looked like the first year. And Hodge kept playing. He kept playing his behind to the outside shoulder of the man, giving up the snap. Why did he not take away the inside? I don't know. You in the slot. Why are you playing outside of the man? And you giving away the slant. And you know he on a slant. It's like how we kept telling with Kamani back in the day. Then you know that they getting slant. He ain't throwing that deep. And they slant and they yak yards out the catch. Stick with Cobb, you've been a bit 12. Stop. Too much for us to see if anything was good. I don't know. Right side of the line trash. Now I've been looking at that number 72. I don't know about was it 58 or 53, but that's 72, man. Is that Chrysler? Big old dude. I see him whiffing blocks way too much. I don't see it last week. I don't see it this week. Probably the biggest lineman on the line, and it's like he ain't moving, folks. He missing block. He looked very slew-footed. He falling all down, reaching. I don't know why they reaching instead of punching. I watched them reach for people a lot. I seen the center reaching last week and falling on his face. It was weird, you know. Yet they were still in the game. Delaware was knocking Mike off his butt. Let me see some stats from Colorado while we at it. So Salter had 102 yards. Staub had 157. Staub only had 10 passes, and he had 7 completions out of 10. So that includes those almost interceptions you're talking about, right? Outside of that, his they don't know how to get past the first level. That's the thing. You can't tell them block on the second level. They not getting out that first level. Yeah, JB did have a good game yesterday. He looked like he actually knew what he was doing at linebacker. So said the Delaware was there to stop the run and dare see you to throw. That's why Star was successful. Yeah, or you should be successful because you got better athletes, and that goes back to what I was saying last week about you not using your athletes. They no matter what they try to stop, you should have better athletes than them. You should have a better offensive line than them, better than their defensive line, and your ADBs should not be able to touch your receivers, and your quarterback should be better. Those receivers getting off on McKinney and Hodge. It really more so was Hodge. McKinney missed that one play when he let it go underneath. He tried to jump underneath, and that's I think that long ball that boy caught going across the middle. You know, that's what he caught that ball. McKinnon kind of tried to recover at the last minute. Stop playing loose. He had nothing to lose. Yeah, he had nothing to lose. But you got to think about it. This man been there for 3 years on the bench. He know the system. He don't got a lot of reps, and he did something that Juju probably would never want to do, and that's sit behind somebody and get better. Staub he looked better than he did his freshman year. Staub in Nebraska and all that, throwing interceptions, just looking all over the place. And Staub was a highly recruited guy. He was no 5-star, but he was a highly recruited guy in his area as a quarterback. And we came in, Coach Prime first year, he was Shadour's backup. And, he really wasn't, polished. But he had that one game against Utah. Everybody like, oh, he good. I said that's when he should have gone. Or else he can get stuck. Shadour came another year. Then you bring these guys. And it just so happened he got his opportunity. DBs don't put hand on receivers. Why play man? Coach Prime talking about that for years. Play cover 3 if you're not going to be physical. True. He know that. And I know it's like he keep preaching that. But again, he's a whole new set of people. You got to reteach him. 71, 55, 53. Trash. Is 71? 71 is Hill. I think it's 55 the center and 53 is the right tackle. So 72, that's bad, man. They all had some trashy moments yesterday. He looked real clumsy at times. What's going on? Yeah. Yeah, so these are some of the bad things, man. These are the bad things. Now, things are so weird. We're not even talking about, I guess I can throw it in a good. Colorado ain't having a lot of penalties like they had. Usually the game be ugly because they had a whole lot of dumb penalties at all the wrong time. We ain't been seeing it. They said it was going to be less penalized, more discipline. I guess we can say that's what's going on because we don't hear about a lot of penalties with them. We didn't see a lot of penalties and 2nd and 23. I think that was a strategy by the refs a lot of time, especially when Shadour was there because they wanted to keep him behind the chains and you have to go big because you had to keep him, 2nd and 5 and stuff like that. It would have been a different kind of situation. So it's like maybe they switched up their strategy a little bit because I don't know. Yes, you said this team is that much more disciplined, or you just calling less calls. But anyway, Juju was 2 for 4 for 8 yards. It seemed like he did more. Simeon Price, 9 for 55, 6-yard average. He had 55 yards. Then he could have ran the ball more, maybe. Taylor had 7 for 43. Definitely can see him have the ball more. Salter ran for 25 on a 2.8 per carry. Welch only got the ball 7 times. He only had 14 yards. So he was the one kind of running in right on people's back. He got the touchdown, but he come in and just get stopped. Draylon Miller, 1 for 3. Stop, -2. So I guess with the sacks and Lewis, -8. So Sincere Brown, 4 catches for 120. He just straight mossing them. Next behind him was Joseph Williams, 4 for 55. He had some key catches, 13.8 on average, and Sincere had 30. Taylor, man, he making it on both sides. 49-yard passing, 12.2, and a touchdown. So Taylor don't score both games. I don't know when they're going to start making sure he be used. I was glad to see Harsh get more yesterday. He had 3 for 21, 7-yard average. Gibson 2 for 8 for Atkins. Again, not using the tight ends as much as I thought. Atkins only got 1 for 7. 7-yard average. Williams, he only got 1 catch, 5 yards. And who's that? Price got 2 receptions for 1 yard, which is weird, 0.5. And Draylon only got 1. That's weird. So Salter, he needs to be more active. And I don't know how that's gonna be, man, because he want to throw it, you tell him not to throw it, then he run. Now he don't know what to do. But Salt throw the ball side hand, almost underarm. I don't know who let him get away with that habit so long at quarterback. That's a no-no. It's a reason why they tell you to keep that ball at your ear and throw the ball overhand. There's a reason why you don't throw it. He throw that ball underhand, jump this rise right over people's head. I don't know why they keep letting him throw them circle balls. Throwing it underhand, the ball is sailing on him. If you keep the ball over top, the ball can't sail if you're throwing the ball over top. That's why you throw the ball over top. You're throwing it like a baseball. And that football got a point on it. That football take off. So he throwing, and on a run, he even more side on. He has no fundamentals. I knew that about him when he came. And that's definitely hard coming behind somebody like Shador, because Shador is very fundamental. He's a technician. He got a coach. He work on his footwork and all that, and his technique all the time. And so when you had Juju come in, it's like, oh, he's a technician like Shador. The thing is, he only 17. Really should be in high school and playing at his level. And, he experienced the only thing gonna get him there. But really, there wasn't anything positive about yesterday. Our defense gave up 396 yards of offense. We're trash, can't block, can't tackle. Now, yeah, see the stats show something different. 396, yeah. Wasn't a lot of running, even though it looked like it. But they gave up 317 passing yards. And a lot of that was yard after catch, honestly. It was yard after catch. That would go back to your tackling, which we've talked about. Right. They said Welch running in the right side of the O-line. Well, that's a problem, man. It's a problem that only one of your sides is blocking. It's also a problem that they can't block a lower level team. No matter how you put it, that's a lower level team. Salt needs to call his own plays because Schumer is I don't know. I don't know what Salt said. They say Shador is inactive. I guess. Why wouldn't he not playing? So, whatever that means. I was just watching it from another account. Yeah, Salt needs to remember to just play the way he would always play. Don't let. I don't know, man. He in a bad spot. He in a bad spot mentally. He got to be really mentally strong because he already had Juju on the back. Now you got Staub, and Staub is doing something that Coach Prime likes. No matter how you want to put it, whether it's because they can't or they ain't. The running game ain't what it is. Coach Prime like to throw that ball. Let's call it what it is. He was a receiver. He beat his son through it. Staub did something that Saltane showed, that he can get the ball, make a deep threat out of them weapons. You got all them weapons, like he said, and you can't get the ball to them. Oh, you overthrow them. Yeah, you got an arm, but you can throw it 10 miles over their head. You not reading properly, and people wide open, and you holding the ball. You not. I don't know. I don't know if you understand the offense. I don't know what Salter be doing. How he keep looking one way too long. He don't keep his head, and he don't know where his routes at. They wide open. He'll take a sack. Or just be looking. Staub is gonna get that ball out there. Now can he throw some picks if you get trigger happy? Yeah. That's one thing that we didn't really see when you look at Salter. He's not throwing a lot of interceptions. He's not turning the ball over. So you're not really out of this thing. You're not out of this thing when you say I found my quarterback, because everybody got their pros and cons. Everybody got their pros and cons. Now y'all, let's look at what it is. The bad. Bad and counter transition to ugly. CU, bad tackling like 2023 CU. Last year they was a little better compared to the year before, but they still had tackling issues. That's why they lost to Kansas State. Piss poor tackling, not being in the right hole, but not tackling is what they had. So we ain't got no sponsor here. You ain't get no sponsor dollars unless you gonna pay them. So I think at the end of the day, he got a gun with bullets. All right, he just got a person shooting a gun who don't know what they're shooting at in a lot of ways. Well, Salt ain't been running on first read, but the problem is if you are reading, you're going through your progression, and you never make it to your third whoever open because you stuck over there too long. Like you trying to force the one to be the one, and he's not finding the open man. Now, Staub with that experience of being with a Shador, he picked up on a few skills. He knew how to say, "Oh, that's the weak spot. We're gonna change the play." And he told Sincere, "Run a go route." The fact that this man trying to cover you is ridiculous. You faster than him, you bigger and stronger than him. Just run past him. I'm gonna throw it up. That's something you learn from being with somebody like a Shador. Because stop. I mean, Salter wasn't thinking like that. Salter's not thinking to go vertical. And then it don't help when you have Schumer, how you throwing all this crap sideways. It getting busted up. He threw about 3-4 times. And now one time, it's like he throwing it again, and every time they bust it up, it's not even working. And you still calling it. You stuck on calling that. Said my picture's blurred. Not blurred on my side. That'll be mighty dumb for me to be. My internet supposed to be working. I don't. My internet access look good. I have no excuse. No excuse not to be working. Absolutely not. Honestly, the Delaware D line was seniors and projected all conference players. Troy State is Sun Belt Conference and gave Clemson all they could handle. Well, Troy State, they've been decent. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Clemson hit on. We don't know if Clemson hit on anything. I think that these teams should better give you something, maybe for a quarter or whatever, but it shouldn't be a whole game because your weaponry should at some point just oversee them. I have no idea what this dumb is doing and why it would be blurred. It's not blurred on my end. I'm in the same spot and I don't see anything as far as weakness in my Wi-Fi signal or my internet signal is full. I don't know. So I mean how the chat is critical after win. Signing the team. Well, I said this last year. You better be critical. We don't care about no doggone winning. I mean, if you barely beat this team and you know that you're gonna be playing teams that's more talented and more physical, they got the right to be critical. Just like I said last year, when nobody want to listen, they want to whine. We said, "Why are you being critical?" After the Arizona game, I said, all these bad habits gonna catch up with you, and it did. Right after that, with Kansas, and then you go to the bowl game, and you just because you winning, that don't mean that you doing right. It just means you won. But you better correct what you not doing good, because that's gonna cost you in the end. Yeah, lateral plays gonna nobody finna let you do that. It may be YouTube. It may be. That's the only thing I would know. It may be the connection. See, you cover the spread. And if the fact that your spread is only 24 points tells them what they think about you. I mean, it's lost. Yeah, it was a close win. It was a close win. You wasn't here when we got on. It was a close win. Let me go back. It was a very close win. If you actually look at the game, it was a close win because Colorado beat them 31-7. That's the total score. But it was 7-0 at the first quarter. Is that close? First quarter is like 0-7. Second quarter, Colorado scored a touchdown field goal, but at one point it was 7-10 because they kicked the field goal, and then Staub brought it to 7-17. Then Colorado only scored 7 points in the third and fourth quarter, and Delaware for some reason even though they was in the red zone and going down the field, they didn't score no more the rest of the game. So that's what made the game not as close. But statistically, I mean, they put up almost 400 yards total. The offense put up over 300 yards. The rushing, they ain't do much rushing, but they got a lot of passing yards. A lot of that had to do with the fact they wasn't tackling well, because there was a lot of yard after catch. So it was a close win, by not by number, but how they played. Because it's sad you had to bring your third string quarterback, which that's how it played out, to come in and get the game to the next level. And then you saw the wonder, if he didn't have the nerve to do that, what the game would have been even more close. Because Salter was moving the ball, but he wasn't scoring, and it was taking a long time. I mean, the first drive he went down there, but that second one they got the field goal, like they couldn't get the ball in zone. I mean, they could have messed around and only beat these boys 17-21-7, and then that would have been your close game. Stark came in and put those, a couple quick touchdowns together. And I don't even. They decided from what he said, he found out the day before the game. I knew Juju was gonna play. We didn't know Stark was gonna play. But if we look at the production between Salter and Juju and what they did, that's a very close game. And it got nothing to do with how good the other team is. It had more to do with what Colorado wasn't doing. That's it. See you experiment the whole game. Well, I mean, I'm sure they ain't gonna treat a conference game in Houston like that, like a Delaware. Of course. They don't do that. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this. Yeah, that was the backup quarterback. I don't know what difference would have been if they had the full, but we know that was a backup quarterback. They don't block. Yeah. Stop is possible to see version of the mailman at UJ. He might not give up that QB. I mean, he should have. If is he able to put the ball in the end zone? Stop was already there because he was recruited by the prior program, but he was not on the. I mean, that was his first year. He was a freshman. He was a freshman. He was already committed to Colorado before Coach Prime came, and he came on anyway versus bailing out. Stop. This is his third year in school. He was a freshman that year. He was not already there. He just happened to came. He came on. He's not an original buff. It's the reason why you don't call him original buff. The only people who was already there was the governor, Ben, and Charlie, and Trevor Woods before he left. Right. There we go. Stop was a freshman. Y'all missing that. Stop was a freshman. He did not play the year before. He was not. What year Stop? Let's look at why we at it. What year Stop? Stop. How many years has Stop played at Colorado? Hopefully come up with a Stop. Let's say his senior year, he threw 3,000 yards and 37 touchdowns. He committed to play at Colorado. Right? So, I'm trying to see what class he is. Because, I'm certain he was a freshman. A true freshman. When Shador came on when they played against Nebraska. So, Stop came out of high school. His first year was in 2023, like I said. Right. He's a junior. Yeah, redshirt sophomore. This is his third year. So again, he's not an original buff. He was recruited by the original staff, and he decided to come on with Coach Prime State. He did not play the year before. He's a junior, but he's a redshirt sophomore. So he's not a original buff. He got there in 2023 when Coach Prime came. You say he was already there. What do you mean he was already there? Coach Prime came in that December. So he may have been an early enrollee, but he did not play the year before. Yeah, they good on paper. I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. That's one thing I told y'all when I looked at this season. I said, I don't know. I can't predict what's gonna happen. I can't even predict. But I'm gonna tell y'all like this: this conference is a better conference this year. I mean, this is more well rounded. Last year was sneaky because teams that everybody kind of like looked past was at the top, especially towards the end. But now that TCU is back in the game, now that Utah's possibly back in the game, and you still got the Iowa State, you still have the BYU, you still have, I don't know what Houston gonna end up doing. I don't know what Texas Tech gonna end up doing. I don't know what West Virginia gonna end up doing. But I know all of those guys are capable of beating people. Kansas State is capable of beating people. Kansas State remind me a lot of Georgia Tech. They lean really heavy on their quarterback, and they have a decent running back and maybe a receiver or two. They don't have the issues Colorado have. We got a loaded receiver room. I don't know how many teams in this conference, or really in the country, outside maybe some SEC, because they just got so many 5-stars, but you really don't know the players like that. But I don't know how many teams out there, and especially in the Big 12, who say they got a loaded receiver room. Colorado has the Sincere Browns. Amari and them play. You still have Joseph Williams. You still have Gibson. You still have Farrakhan. He's young, So you got a lot of young guys. You still have a nice amount of talent. Different size, different shape. I don't know who's going to be the breakout person. Sincere maybe. Sincere's a big old boy, man, and he's fast and he's long. They better get to using him. Now, Stott was smart enough to ride him right on in. That's who Stott rode. He didn't ride nobody else but Sincere Brown. He's smart enough to identify somebody. He's smart enough to identify somebody who can make him look good, and vice versa. Yeah, I wouldn't blame him. So, what do you think about Houston? I mean, Houston is. They was a team last year. At the end of the year, they were hot and cold because we wanted Houston to beat. Who we wanted them to beat? We wanted them to beat Arizona State or somebody the last game. BYU, somebody we wanted them to beat. And they didn't. So they messed up the 3-way tie, 4-way tie that Colorado put themselves in. But Houston snuck somebody in. I think who they beat? They either beat BYU or Iowa State. The game before the last. They created a whole situation to get Colorado back in it. But then you had to count on that last game, which they didn't come through. Baylor is back good. Baylor playing good. They were good last year. Baylor is not nobody to play with. Now, I don't think Colorado played Baylor this year, but Baylor gonna spoil somebody lunch. Baylor gonna spoil somebody. Utah gonna spoil somebody. It's gonna be like Coach Prime said. They gonna all beat up on each other this year. Anybody who think they got it going on, somebody gonna sneak them. As soon as anybody get comfortable, somebody gonna get snuck. That's what I see going on this year. CU gotta win the games that they're supposed to win. They have remotely think they're gonna go to a conference championship. And mess around and not play good, and you won't see a bowl game because let's put up the schedule. See, we talking about it. See, I'm gonna put up on the spot. Colorado schedule. Because now we know better. We look at the schedule during the off season, woo, 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 woo. It's just like, okay, You making predictions off of what? You making predictions off of what? But now let's look at the schedule. You're gonna have to go. You got to deal with Houston at home, and Houston again. They're gonna have better defense, better running game, and they just gonna be better than them. The problem gonna be it's good if not better than Georgia Tech. Who knows? Because Georgia Tech ain't all that to me. Then they gonna come back to Wyoming, play against Wyoming. I don't know why they did that. I really had Wyoming and all that, and let them get all this crap out their system before they play any conference game. Because it's no good to go back and play Wyoming at that point. Then you got to deal with BYU at home. So you're going to have 2 back-to-back games at home. But after that, and let me tell you, I'm looking at this schedule. Colorado is in a good spot, seemingly, right? Because Colorado going to play TCU. Got to go back down at a hot old TCU, but you going to October. Yeah, and that's going to be, you're going to be talking about what happened 2 years ago and that whole rendezvous. And TCU is a better team. And you're going to play them at home again. Then you're gonna have to come back home, which is good. You got Iowa State at home. You ain't gotta go there to Iowa. You got BYU and Iowa State at home. You can't get it no better than that. But Iowa State right now is ranked 14. Utah is ranked number 20 for whatever reason. Iowa State, I guess a lot of them come back from last year. But you get to play them at home. But then you got to go to doggone Utah. So you got to go back to Utah. That's going to be another story. Maybe we'll starting, it'll be another story. Right? Utah ranked, playing good. And then you're going to play Arizona. Arizona ain't hitting on too much or nothing. Then you're going to play West Virginia. I don't know what they're doing. They can sneak. You got to go to West Virginia. Then Arizona State. I don't know what they looking like. I guess they played Mississippi State kind of close, but I don't know what kind of team Mississippi State is. And you're going to have to play them at home. You're going to play Colorado. You're going to play in Boulder. Good. And then you got to go to Kansas State this year at the last game. The beauty is the toughest teams that we know of so far, Iowa State, BYU, and even Arizona State, just based off of last year. You get to play all these boys at your home field. Now, I don't know what these boys and what kind of goofy mess they on. Do they take pride in home games? I don't know, because they didn't at Georgia Tech. But, and then they, Delaware was like, they got a decent amount of home games this year. That's good for them. Now that BYU game gonna be at 10:15. That game that's gonna be so late. Yeah, they already got the time for that. All these other games they don't have nothing to be disclosed. Right? It's loaded in the receiving room. Out Arizona State. I don't know what good of that is. The quarterback. I guess they said the quarterback one of the better. I don't know, but I ain't really known them for being a quarterback receiving. I know they ran the ball a lot last year. I could have won that. Yeah. Yeah, they beat SMU, and again, I don't know what else. I know they was good last year. I don't know what they're gonna be next year, but that's the ACC. Yeah, was already. Oh, that's why I couldn't win it for years because they couldn't win it for years before they. Well, I mean, I thought Texas was consistently. Texas, Oklahoma was considered top teams for years. Um, they just wasn't always playing each other in the championship. Either one or the other. I thought Texas was very consistent in being in the championship. Now I don't know about Oklahoma. Oklahoma hit or miss, but yeah, it would have been nice if they had stayed in the Big 12 because they sure ain't finna go over there and dominate the SEC. I don't care how good they think they are. It ain't finna happen. You want them to beat BYU. That would be nice. That would be nice. No, I don't think. I mean, I ain't seen enough, but I don't think he's no first round pick. And even if he was, they ain't giving it to him because he come out of Colorado. We had this conversation. They ain't giving no easy picks to Colorado. Sincere, man, he'd be good if he did what Jimmy Horn and Jonte did. Honestly, because they ain't trying to make Colorado look good. He's versatile. They have a good run and pass game. Yeah, they got that running quarterback too, so he ain't scared to run it. Like I said, mid. We have to play top tier state free football this year. Look, I don't even know what games to count. I don't know enough. But let's say you beat Kansas State. Let's say you beat West Virginia 2, 3, Arizona 4. I don't know about Utah. I don't know. Man, if they play the way they playing, man, they play the way they playing now. Just that ain't because the other team's so good. But if they play the way they playing now, they win 5, 6 games. Maybe 7. If they play the way they playing now. Just looking at, because you're not gonna get away with that crap against Houston. Let's start with Houston. You're not gonna get away with it against BYU. You're not gonna get away with it against TCU because they're gonna be explosive. You're gonna have to be able to score against them, and your defense can't be giving up little easy, queasy crap. You're gonna lose. Iowa State, same thing. They're gonna embarrass you. Even Utah, the way they playing, they're gonna embarrass you. And I don't even respect Utah like that. Arizona, Wyoming, that's 2-3. Arizona State, they ain't finna play around with you. And Kansas State, they ain't finna play with you. Man, Colorado, man, you mess around and play foolish out here, man. At this point, and you can mess around, only win 4 or 5 games. You be back to the first year, and you playing like that first year as far as tackling and not really having an identity on offense as far as running the ball and getting the ball to your playmakers for one reason or another. So I don't put that past none at this point. Yeah, I guess them things gonna be back to back. No, they got one between. They got one between West Virginia and the Arizona State. They got one between a break, and what's the other break? They got one. It's like they got one between Iowa State and Utah game. I guess that's a good place because both of them ranked right now. And then play 1, 2 games, and then have another one. So them things can be back to back. Within a month, you're gonna have 2 off games. They should have spread it out better than that, but whatever. Whatever. I watched it. Last night, and they had berries, but they came back almost stole. Yeah. Sincere on the 4-5, sincere. 800 guaranteed to be at worst a 3rd round pick. You can say that. You can say that. But that ain't what's going on. It's just, what at worst Shador supposed to be? Well, all his accolades, it just don't work like you think, clearly. It ain't that. Kansas State lost to Army. Yeah. Let me see. So is perfect time. You better figure something out because you the one on the field. It look good. Arizona look good. I don't know. I don't know what's bad to deal with. Since Arizona State, not Arizona. Yeah, y'all. I guess the ugliest part of it all to me is the fact that after all the work these boys been putting in, after all the, I just don't understand You recruited, you got personnel to depth, but it's just looking too familiar to me. I wanted progression in the linebacker room. Now, like Jeremiah Brown got in there and filled some holes at the right time. Came out the edge and everything. But that linebacker room don't get together, man. It's gonna be hard because yeah, D line need to maintain gap control, gap integrity, and all that. But if they come through that second level, it's supposed to be linebackers there. I don't like the fact that Livingston like the line, 7 guys on the line, 6 guys on the line, and line them up. Now you did that. And there was some type of positionless defense where they didn't know who coming and who going. I love it. Line everybody up and then drop 2 or 3. I love that. But everybody just coming and ain't coming home. Somebody slide through a crack, they gone. There ain't no second level. Your safety's 20 miles back, your DB's in coverage, and you want them to tackle a man in open field. I don't like that. You leaving the whole middle of the field open. You wonder why they running these little drag routes. And that's the same crap that happened even before Livingston was there. Why are we still seeing the same crap on holding a defensive coordinator? You leave the middle of the field wide open. You leave no help in the middle of the field. Linebackers ain't getting no drops. You have everybody rushing. And then they just run an easy slant for 40, 50 yards. If your DB dumb enough to keep letting him come across his face and playing him on the outside, and he run down and he catch that slant, and there's nobody there. The safety's back behind him. The DB on the other side way over there. His DB trailing him. And it's like no hook to curl, no nothing. It's unreal. It's unreal. I don't know if he used spies or they just read. I mean, it's not a spy if you just do your job. A linebacker shouldn't be moving. He should be doing his job. I watch people run into holes where the ball ain't. I watch people run in the direction of the traffic instead of reading. Stand your butt in your spot until you see what's going on. And at least get some depth so you can see. Don't get too close to the line. Don't get caught up in the watch for no doggone reason. The ball ain't there. The ball bounced back from the other side. Or you ain't there to scrape and help, pursue the run to the other side. So the one linebacker get blocked on the other side, the other one's nowhere to be found. He caught up on the other side in the watch or going the wrong way. That's not good. I'm saying that would be scary. Why would you want to sabotage your own? It's your career too. I'm not. Gap A football. That jump like that little league. Like because all it take is one fool, like they do all the time, to go in the wrong hole. They jump in the hole with another man and leave a hole unaccounted for. They jump all the way to the other hole trying to be Superman, and one man blocking 2 people. And then you got nobody behind him. You put everybody on the line. I just knew we were gonna see positionless defense with this guy. This conference will their conference will different when they're in conference. I don't know what I'm saying. It's gonna be a different type of thing, man. Colorado, we already know playing the tough guys. They playing the Iowa State. They playing the BYU in Arizona State. If it's anything like last year, it's gonna come back down to that. And then you ain't got Baylor. Baylor sneaky. Baylor gonna catch somebody on the other side. I think Houston gonna catch some people. You ain't playing Kansas. Kansas gonna catch some people. Maybe Kansas State catch a few people. They gonna beat each other up. But the problem gonna come for Colorado is if you out there only winning 4-5 games because you on some dumb stuff, it don't matter what everybody else doing. It don't involve you because you lose too many games. Yeah, Takes them out. I mean, now what I did see was that they played some other safeties in there yesterday, and they did the safety room looked a little better yesterday. Oh man, I don't know who the pediatricians are. I mean, he brought these guys in. I don't know who these pediatricians are. I mean, Charlie is a you want to be a dentist, he gone. So I don't know, y'all. You gonna find out by next week this time for sure. Next Friday, not next Saturday, because I ain't seen Houston, but I know how they played in it last year, and I know they got some pieces back because they had some injuries with the quarterback. A lot of people had quarterback stuff last year. That's when their teams fell off. You seen it with Utah, of course. You seen it at Kansas State. Iowa State at one point had it early on, and Houston had the issue with their quarterback. So they weren't as bad as you thought. They lost their quarterback. So it's a pedestrian. I thought it's my academic. I don't know what I was reading. Pedestrians and civilians. Yeah, I didn't read that right. I'm thinking about something else. Pedestrian civilians. That makes sense. I think that we're gonna find out some stuff, and the more I look at it, because it's a bad thing. Because I think the first year of Colorado, this was thrown together team. The the offense had Shador, no line, supposedly no running game, and then you look at the defense was horrible, and yet they was in every game except two, and that's what you end up playing like. It don't matter because your record gonna say you garbage, but yeah, I was close. You end up with just enough. You was close in Georgia Tech game. You may be close, but the problem is your record. You don't win no bowl game by being close. If they don't get that mess together, with the fact they playing the teams they playing, it's gonna be. Well, they played Rice ball like how we played Delaware. You know, I believe they're gonna have a running quarterback. Staub gonna have to do what they're gonna have to do. Because if you don't, y'all gotta put scores on the board. Because last year team offense was a little better than the year before. Had more receiver weapons. The line wasn't all that, but the defense was a little more aggressive, and you seen the difference in the record. The linebacker core was a little better. Uh, the pass rush stepped way up from the year before. Where they led the conference. That stuff made a difference in the record. I don't know what to hang your hat on this year. You got a quarterback controversy. You got all these different things. Defense ain't tackling. Can't stop the slants and drag routes and all that all over again. You can't hang your hat on that. So talent is not an issue. Maybe coaching is, maybe personnel. We shall see, y'all. But I'm gonna let y'all go here. It's Greg said it went over an hour. Make sure y'all like, share. Make sure y'all subscribe, comment, and I'll be talking to y'all soon. Y'all have a good one.